So we all have comfort zones, those areas where we feel safe and in control. And while comfort zones provide stability and they help us to stay in a space where we can be productive, if we stay there too long, it will inhibit our growth and it can cause us to miss opportunities. So stepping outside of your comfort zone is very important as we talk about consistency. And you want to begin working on doing that on a regular basis. Today, we're going to be talking about how do we step outside of our comfort zone, what are some of the benefits of stepping outside of the comfort zone, and how can we become consistent in stepping out of our comfort zone. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, that's Wood with an E. I'm so glad that you are here to join me for my 100-day walk to consistency. We are on day number 43. Let's go ahead. I'll see you on the walk. So we're talking about comfort zones. And before we talk about comfort zones, let's go back and let's kind of discuss what it is that we're doing. We're talking about consistency. And how do we become consistent? Why are we working on consistency? Because we're working on becoming successful, setting ourselves up for the best possibility of growth and of improvement. We talk about lots of different areas, but we're talking specifically about health. Now, the things that we're discussing, and you see as we've gone through the last several weeks, that you could apply these principles to any area of your life. It does not have to be that you are just putting this in place for your health, but it is the thing that we are talking about. But once again, you can extrapolate. So how does our comfort zone affect us? Well, the comfort zone, often we get there because we've been doing something for a while, right? We're consistent. We get there because we become competent in some skill or some ability. We get there because it was sometimes the simplest place for us to land in the middle of our growth. So all of those reasons why people end up in a comfort zone. The other reason we end up in a comfort zone is because we've had to basically simplify some of the procedures, some of the behaviors that we needed to be successful. And so often we are successful in the place where we are. But when we stay in the comfort zone too long, it can be a place that causes stagnation and causes us to not expand and not be thinking outside the box. And so our discussion really is not belittling the comfort zone. We are not saying that the comfort zone is a place that we should not strive to achieve, because many times when we become comfortable in the procedures that we're doing, it really does set us up for success. But we want to always be evaluating, as you heard me say often, we all want to always be evaluating, are we doing the best thing for our success? Are we really using all the skills? Are we using all the benefits of all of the procedures, all of the parameters, all of the protocols, all of the knowledge that we've gained? And is this really the best thing for us? And so our discussion about comfort zone is, how do we step out of the comfort zone? Why should we step out of the comfort zone? What are some of the benefits of getting out of the comfort zone as we move into consistency? Okay? So that with that as a backdrop, let's go ahead and have this conversation. So comfort zone. So why stepping out of our comfort zone is vital? Why is it vital? Number one, when we step out of the comfort zone, it promotes growth. As I said before, we often get into the comfort zone because we have learned, achieved, become comfortable, become proficient at a particular thing, which is of great benefit. But when we stay in that comfort zone, sometimes we often don't allow ourselves to continue to grow because everything works. Now, I'll tell you an example. In my office, I have medical students and nurse practitioners, PA students, medical assistant students, high school students who rotate through the office, residents. And one of the reasons I love to have residents in the office and medical students, those are the predominant ones, is because they challenge me. They challenge me not in terms of what we're doing, but they challenge me to continue innovating my teaching. When a medical student comes and asks a question, there are things that we do sometimes that have become kind of rote. It's just what we do. And in order to teach someone how to do something, you've got to really understand the concepts and be able to explain it to them in a way that they can grasp. So the medical students, when they are in the office, when they're asking me questions, they really help me to refine my teaching and even sometimes refine my process. Because now I've got to evaluate that process and be able to explain to them what it is I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And so having those questions, right? Questioning is one of those ways, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, of making sure that we're not staying in the comfort zone. So the comfort zone, when we're in the comfort zone, one reason for getting out of the comfort zone is because it provides growth. It allows us to expand our thought process. Each step outside of the box boosts our ability to see new things and to go to new heights. For example, if you're trying a new workout or some health process, you could stay where you are. For instance, we're walking and we've been doing 20-minute miles. Well, maybe you can do a 15-minute mile and then a 10-minute mile. So each of those, while the 15-minute, 20-minute mile is not wrong, maybe we push ourselves a little bit more so that we can do a little bit more, a little bit longer, a little bit faster, and we get a little bit more benefit. So pushing ourselves outside the comfort zone gives benefit because it brings growth. It also builds confidence. Remember the consistency confidence loop that we talked about? That's right. When we experience ourselves, when we experience life outside of our comfort zone, we become more confident in our ability to process. We become confident in our ability to deal with the world and deal with ourselves in general. So the idea that we become confident when we've come out of the comfort zone and we are on the other side of whatever it is that we're working with, I disagree with that. And the reason for that, and you've heard me kind of explain this before, I think the biggest place of growth is at the line of the known and the unknown. It is not when you've already crossed the line and have seen the benefit where you get the confidence and when you get the growth. The growth comes when you have to, without knowing all that's on the other side of that line, have to make a decision that I'm going to step across the line because I am interested in growing. I'm interested in expanding. I'm interested in getting better. I'm interested in providing myself the best possibility of success. Okay? So when we are talking about the comfort zone, one of the reasons is vital to step outside is because it builds confidence. If you have difficulty speaking in front of public, if you have difficulty speaking in public, join a group where, guess what? You have to speak, right? You have skills. You have the ability to do different things. You can teach. You can explain. You've been successful with certain items. So find an opportunity where you can now use your abilities to teach someone, right? So we're always talking about building up the community. Here's an opportunity for you to build the community and for you to also gain confidence. Okay, so one of the reasons it's vital for you to step outside of your comfort zone is because it helps to build confidence. Each success outside of your comfort zone reinforces your belief in yourself. So often we don't do certain things because we're afraid of failure. So when we are, there's a bike coming here. So when we do things and we are then successful at those things, then it builds confidence. Remember, each success builds on what we've done before, and it gives confidence. It brings into us the idea that I can do this. I can be successful. I am capable. And that is a huge benefit of stepping outside of our comfort zone. And then another one is that when we step out of our comfort zone, it prepares us for the unexpected. Life is full of many unexpected twists and turns. There's a commercial where they used to say that, okay? Life is full of very many unexpected twists and turns. And when we are stepping outside of our comfort zone, then what we're doing is we are working to, we're building within ourselves problem solving. We're building within ourselves the ability to assess. We're building within ourselves the ability to prioritize, because those are all skills that we need to have as we're talking about dealing with unexpected situations. Whether it's an unexpected health issue that comes up, whether it's an unexpected relational issue that comes up, how do you go about determining or finding the time to be healthy in the midst of all the other things you have to do? That's a problem-solving task. And when you set up times where you are working on, when you set up times when you are successful and something changes, then you've got to be able to change with it as well. And so in our process of becoming better, becoming more resilient, and setting ourselves up for success, stepping outside of those comfort zones is vital in our ability to expand and to grow. One of the things that you will find is that you will, as you're working to become better, become more resilient, you will find that there are times when you will want to do something and the fear will come in. And the fear comes in because it is not natural. It is not normal for you to go through that process. And so in your ability, or in the times when you're looking at stepping out of your comfort zone, you will find that you will have to be very deliberate about not allowing the fear to push you back. Okay. So I'm gonna see here. Let's see, where did I come down? Okay, let's go back this way. I think this is where we came. All right. So those are reasons why we want to make sure that we are stepping outside of our comfort zone. Those are very important reasons that will cause us to grow, cause us to build confidence, and will help us as we are experiencing life, because life can be unexpected. Okay. So how do we go about actually building this ability, and how do we go about stepping outside of our comfort zone? Well, one of the things that you want to do is you want to start small. Yeah, start small. It is human nature that when we want to make changes, either we don't make changes or we jump into the change and we make huge, massive changes. And so what I want to encourage you to do too is I want you to start small. Identify small actions that you can do that push the boundaries, push your boundaries, and push you in a direction that allows you to become more confident as you are doing new and different things. Okay, so you want to build momentum by gradually increasing the level of challenge. So example is the walking that we're doing. If you've been doing the 20-minute miles, right? So that's 3 miles an hour. There are a lot of dogs around here, by the way. That's 3 miles an hour. And sorry, yeah, 3 miles an hour. So if you've been doing that, then what you want to do is you want to then expand that. You know, do a little longer, do a little bit more. And as you do that, you'll become more and more comfortable in your ability to move beyond where you are in your comfort. And once you move beyond the ability to be comfortable, then guess what? That new place that you are, that becomes your comfort zone. Right? So we're always expanding, we're always processing, we're always looking for ways to be successful in our lives. All right? So never allow yourself to stay in comfort zone. Number 2, stretch your goals. So gradually increase the goals little by little so that over time you end up in a position that is once again is going to become comfortable, but a position that you now feel, okay, I've grown from where I am. One of the great reasons for journaling, because when we journal, we're able to assess, we're able to see where we are and to make decisions based on objective data. So we're no longer relying just on our memory, but we are looking at the things that where we were, and we're saying, okay, this is a better location. I've grown, I've expanded. And let me say this, right? And I use the word there, it's a better location. Sometimes the growth is not necessarily better, right? It's not that we've gotten to a better place, but, and there's a truck coming down. So it's not necessarily that it's a better place, right? We may get there once we've expanded, once we've grown. We may get there, we may decide that it is not the place that we want to be, right? But the growth comes because we've made the decision to move in that space. So that is the goal. The goal is always to be. Evaluating where we are. So don't just do it and say, okay, this is better. You've got to evaluate. Okay. The next thing is to embrace discomfort. Yeah. This is an interesting one because we often don't expand. We often don't grow because we're unable to tolerate the discomfort. There are times when we give up just as we're about to make that breakthrough, just as we're about to make that change into that extra mile, for that hour when we do that 20-minute mile. We give up just as we're about to have a breakthrough in our finances, just as we're about to make a breakthrough in our relationship, just as we're about to make a breakthrough in whatever area. We give up. And one of the reasons for that is that the discomfort of being there pushes us to say, okay, I'm giving up on this. So what I want to encourage you is to learn that discomfort doesn't mean that you have to fix it. Discomfort doesn't mean that right now I've got to get out of it. Discomfort simply means that I'm in a place that I'm unfamiliar with. And unfamiliar does not mean bad. Discomfort doesn't mean that it's going to last forever, right? Because in our minds, oh my goodness, this thing right here that I'm feeling, this is going to be forever. And that does not have to be the case. Discomfort simply means that I'm in the unfamiliar. And when I am able to tolerate discomfort, I will find that often my ability to push through, my ability to get through, my ability to move beyond is much more than I anticipated. Okay? So discomfort, embrace discomfort. And then reflect on your experience. You guys know this one was coming, right? So everything that we do requires us to evaluate. It requires us to say, is this working like I expected? Is this what I anticipated that it would be? Is this the kind of thing that I'm looking for? Is this working? And notice, I did not say, is it better? Yeah. Now, we are looking for improvement. We're looking for more consistent ways of doing things. We're looking for more efficient ways of doing things. But simply the question, is this better, is not necessarily the question we want to ask. Is it different? Is it a new way? Have I expanded my thought? Have I learned something? Have I been able to assess where I am? Now, here's the beauty. When I step outside of my comfort zone, I may get out of the comfort zone and decide, you know what? Where I was a better way of doing whatever I was doing. That's the beauty of this. So the comfort zone is not always change. It's not always that I'm moving to a different place. Sometimes I have to step out of the comfort zone simply to then look back and say, okay, where I was doing this well. I was having the benefit that I thought I should have had, okay? So you want to evaluate. And then you want to get support. I cannot overemphasize the power of support. If you want to go somewhere, you can be successful by yourself. But if you want to go far and you want to be consistently successful, you want to seek support. So join a group, get a support colleague, get someone who will work with you, get someone who is heading in the same direction or has been where you want to go, so that you can then be confident that you are setting yourself up for the best possibility of improvement, of success. That's what this is all about. How do we become successful? How do we make sure that we're doing what we need to do? Now, I want to back up for a minute, and I want to talk about this idea of reasons for stepping outside of your comfort zone. What I didn't say under why it's vital is that when you step out of your comfort zone, you are able to see solutions sometimes that you never thought existed. We can spend an entire episode talking about this. When you step out of that comfort zone, when you allow yourself the ability for your mind to expand, the connections that you begin seeing between different things becomes huge. You then begin seeing what those places are where you can make connections that you never thought were there. You begin seeing that my behavior here affects my behavior over there, and that my ability to do something here will be greatly influenced by something else that I do. All of those are things that happen when we are able to step out of our comfort zone. If you don't do that, if you don't step out of the comfort zone, then that never happens. Um, and just to give you an example, one of the things that happens is that
Time 32 minutes 39 seconds. Total distance 1.0 miles. Average pace 32 minutes 39 seconds per mile. Split pace 32 minutes 39 seconds per mile.
all right, you heard my monitor there mapping me out. But one of the things that happens is that when I am in my creative space, when I'm here, whether I'm doing this series or on Dwain Woode MD Live, which is our show that we do, or I'm doing a fasting check-in, or I'm doing a conversation at a church or with other people, one of the challenges often is because I have done this and because I am confident in the things that I say and I'm comfortable with this area, is that there are times when I'm out on the road and there are people who have ideas and concepts that come up. And if I'm not careful, it's very easy to not necessarily discount, but to say, you know what, that doesn't necessarily fit into my plan, my program, fit into the ideas, the concepts that I'm teaching. But everything doesn't have to. And so I allow myself now to step into a space, understanding that I don't know everything, understanding that there are people who are having experiences with even the things that I teach that may have found or may have realized or may have made connections that I did not think possible. And so my ability to be in a space where I'm comfortable has to be challenged. And I have to say, okay, what are some of the things that I can do? What can I learn in this episode or this instance from these people, from this place, from even this discussion? Each time I do a show, each time I do one of these talks, there's stuff that comes up that I then have to go run and write down because I want to remember it, because it's a connection that I made while I was even in the process of teaching or process of explaining. Okay, so consistency and stepping outside of our comfort zone. So we can't leave without giving you a challenge. So you ready for the challenge? Remember, for all the time, whenever you get the challenge, you want to make sure that you are grabbing your journal, that you're processing this, and that you are evaluating, right? Remember, the journal is your way of documenting the things that you've been doing. Okay, so here it is. Number one, so I want you to identify a small stretch goal. Identify a small stretch goal. And so let me go back and let's talk a little bit about stretch goals. Stretch goals are those places, or those things that you want to say that I'm going to increase. So for example, if you're fasting and you normally fast for 8 hours, then a stretch goal would be, okay, I'm going to fast for 10 hours. Notice, it is not like 24 hours or 36 hours, but it is longer than what you're currently doing. So it's a stretch goal. If you normally walk for 30 minutes, maybe now you say, I'm going to walk for 35 minutes. If you're rowing, if you're on the treadmill, if you're on the bike, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do a few more minutes longer. So that's where the stretch goal is. So for the challenge, you want to identify a stretch goal. You want to write it down, right? So choose one action that feels slightly uncomfortable in the direction where you want to go. For example, like I talked about with the walking or with the fasting, you want to stretch it just a little longer. Try a new fitness class, right? Talk to a mentor. Swap your usual snack for something different. If you're trying to change your diet, if you're trying to be healthier, if you're trying to eat balanced meals, right? Something just a little different. Then number two, you want to take action. Remember, things that are on paper is just that. It's just stuff that's on the paper. It doesn't come to life until you put action to it. So you want to make sure that you are putting as much action to that. Don't wait till next week or the week after. Right now, you can do that, right? So commit to making this happen. So you've identified a stretch goal. You've You started taking action, and you are saying, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm getting up in the morning and I'm gonna walk. Now, I'll tell you, maybe your goal is not necessarily get up in the morning and walk, but maybe your goal is I'm gonna walk every day. Because you have time at lunch, you have time in the morning, you have time in the evening. Just like I've been doing, I'm walking at any time I can so that I can make sure that I'm remaining consistent. Maybe that's your stretch goal, but you're committed that this is what I'm gonna do. And then you want to reflect. You want to journal about it. You want to sit down and say, okay, how did that work? How is this working for me? Am I expanding my horizons? Am I expanding my mind, my thought process? Am I doing what I need to do to be successful? All right, so that's your challenge. Identify the stretch goal, take action, commit to that action, and then reflect and collaborate and calibrate. You want to also celebrate your successes. If you're able to do it for a week, hey, go ahead. 1 week, better than none, right? So we want to make sure that we continue doing that as we move in that direction. So stepping outside of our comfort zone can feel challenging. It can be uncomfortable, and it can sometimes be the thing that pushes us back into the routine and back into just being where we are. But when we step out, we're able to get the benefits that we talked about. We're able to achieve growth, and we're able to set ourselves up for success. I'm so excited that you joined me on this another walk to consistency, my 100-day walk to consistency. Glad that you're here. Remember, consistency is your superpower. Make sure that you're doing the challenges. Make sure you're working through the workbook, and we will see you as we move through our next day, day number 44 of this 100-day. All right, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you. We'll see you tomorrow on The Walk.